Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is our weekly show that we do every Wednesday at 11 Central, where we talk about business solutions in SharePoint. This is my team, some coworkers from Rackspace and I. We get together and talk about business solutions. So what are business solutions? That means stuff you can do in SharePoint without having to write custom code or go into Central Admin or write PowerShell or anything. So there's a lot of categories that we cover with demos and discussions and things every week around these business solutions. So I'm going to go ahead and get everyone to introduce themselves, and then I'm going to do a continuation of my onboarding process that I did like five episodes so far. This will be the 6th. I think this will be the final one, just to polish some stuff up. So I'll go Ryan and then Joelle.
Alrighty. Hi everybody, I'm Ryan Keller. I part of the business solutions team. My specialty is branding and making SharePoint not look like SharePoint. I've been working with SharePoint, for about 7-ish years now, I think, and I've been focused on consulting work with SharePoint for about 5 and dedicated to branding work for about 3, I think it's been. So that's kind of my contribution to the team.
Nice. Thanks.
All right, I am Joelle Farley. I also work on the business solutions team, obviously. I work a lot with. Sorry, my brain is not working today. Apparently, I work a lot with.
Multitasking.
Yes. Information architecture and planning and design. I do a lot of that stuff. I also have worked in the past with InfoPath quite a bit, and workflows and those kind of things. Pretty much anything that we talk about on these calls here. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of Laura's session here.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just real quick, there's a Q&A. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you have a little button that will take you over to the Google Hangout where it has a Q&A panel which shows us the questions while we're presenting and lets us have a cute little interface where we can type our answers. And then also if you're in YouTube, there is a comments area where you can make comments on the video in there. It's just not going to be as readily available to us as the interface with the Q&A on Google on the Google Hangout. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with kind of explaining to you what I'm doing, and then I want you guys to ask questions as I go and make comments and have this very interactive discussion, and then I guess we'll make some announcements at the end. So I'll go ahead and share my desktop. Let me get the site in the right spot. There we go. Full screen. Okay. You guys see my screen now? Okay. This is the home page of my little VM, just my where I have this onboarding demo. So this is what I created in the last sort of 5 hours sort of progression of building this solution out. And I'm going to show you real quick what the workflow itself looks like. Let me see if I can. Oops, wrong way. Wrong presentation screen. I think I switched this around the other day. There we go. So this is what the workflow looks like that I've been building out. Someone submits a new hire form. It's got a manager approval, and then it's got some parallel tasks in here: sending the welcome packet, creating a user account, and setting up a phone. And then it's got a conditional task in here. If they're in IT, this extra thing has to happen. HR approval happens, and then employee goes to orientation, and then it's finished. So that's what the overall sort of synopsis is of what we've been doing, and this is more of like a real-world scenario than what you can do with just some of the out-of-the-box little built-in approval workflows that are mostly useful for just simple serial processes. So, quick overview. This is the new hire site so far, where it has a link that they can fill out a new hire form here. and it has a link to go to see all the new hires in progress. And what I'm going to do is go through one of these and show you just some testing and show you just some issues. And I want you to be thinking also, so start thinking through this, like as you get closer to going into production with your solution, think of it as using it as an end user and what that experience would look like, and also things that you wouldn't want end users to be able to click on, or things you wouldn't want them to be able to change, or things that would be confusing to them. So those are all the kind of things that you're going to think through when you're polishing your site up and getting ready to go into production with it. All right, so I'll go ahead and start a new, I got to think about who my little new hire needs to be, because I have this list already and I want to make sure I don't have anybody, I don't put anybody that's already gone through this process. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make, I think Shane Young is going to be a new hire today. So I'll go back to the home page and so last name, first name, and then department is just a text field right now. We can change that in the session today. We can set that as a default. Engineer. Okay, and then I'm not going to necessarily fill out all of this, but hiring manager is going to be an important one to fill out. And employee type, so it's like executive, corporate, or operations. And then I save that, and I should have the workflow automatically kicking off. So if I don't, then I would need to go edit that as well. So I'll go see if he's in the little in progress view here. So here he is in here. It looks like the workflow hasn't actually started yet. So let me go see, open my workflow. Here's SharePoint Designer. Again, this is what we're doing. We're testing and polishing it up, right? So here's my new hire approval process. So where would I look for that? That's going to be in the start options. So it looks like there is a checkbox that's supposed to start when an item is created. Gotta love that, Joelle, huh? When SharePoint's just supposed to magically do something and it just simply doesn't. Okay, so there it went. See, it didn't have anything in that column that has the name of the workflow, and now it does. So now I can see, and remember, in one of our sessions we created this dashboard that you can go to for each new hire. So I can quickly go to his dashboard and see what's going on. All right, so now it shows me the information about Shane up here, and I can go to see what tasks are going on. This screen that we're looking at is something that we can polish up here in this session as well, like determine what columns we might want to really see or not see, and take away this add new item thing and just little stuff like that. All right, so here's the task that's been assigned to take care of, so it's assigned to me. And I'll go ahead and go into the edit screen. Again, this is another thing that you got to think through when people need to be able to edit that new hire, the task around that new hire. To get the approved and rejected buttons, they have to be on the edit form, but then they can edit anything in here, which is a little frustrating. So that we'll kind of tackle and talk about and figure out different ways that we could go about hiding it or making it read-only, stuff like that in here. So I'll go ahead and approve that one. And of course, in the real world, you would go through some and approve them in different stages and reject them at different stages and just test that all that functionality works. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this dashboard and see if yep, there are some. So those are the 3 parallel tasks. All right, and so I'll go ahead and remember these can be done in any order. So I'll go say, all right, so this one's assigned to, what was it assigned to? The new phone group to go, assign that new employee a phone number, and you can see that we made business phone a required field in the task. So I have to type in the phone number before that I can say that I completed the task. So and then clicking the completed button will actually change the status to completed for me. All right, so now I can see that that's a completed task, and then I'll go in here and say, well, I'll create their new account. So that means that person now is going to have an Active Directory account, so it makes them fill out the new hire account field here when they complete the task. And completed. And then I'll go say send the welcome packet. And then this is assigned to a group called HR Welcome Packet, and they are just going to say that they completed that as well.
We have a question.
Oh, okay.
Fabian Williams is asking, is your dashboard just a custom action that loads a page tied to the workflow task list and the list that the workflow is invoked from?
Fabian, yes, that is a custom action that's tied to my new hire list, and that was something that we just went through in one of the other sessions. So we have it on the display form and on the list item menu, and that is a it just navigates them to a URL of the dashboard where hire equals, and then that's just whatever hire they click on. So yep, that's exactly what it is. Thanks for coming, Fabian. I haven't seen you in a long time. All right. So I finished all those tasks. I'll go refresh this and see what else has come up. So since he's in IT, it's gone ahead and assigned him that task, assigned that task for IT security to do some special thing that new IT employees have to have. So the IT person is going to go do that and say they completed it. They don't have any special fields to fill out on that particular task. And of course, for the requirements for this, I just completely made them up myself. So it kind of makes it a little easier, huh? And then HR has to go approve something. So they're not just saying they completed it, they actually have approve and rejected buttons. And each one of these types of tasks is a different task content type, which is how I made it show them different fields and give them different buttons in the task form itself. I started going through the process in this little HR onboarding, by the way, of I put this in a playlist in YouTube. Let me show this to you guys real quick. This our YouTube channel is SharePoint RAX, and in our playlist, I have this HR onboarding site demo. So that way you can go through just the episodes where I build out this solution. And here's one thing that I started doing. I did it on the first two so far, is I logged the minutes at which I did each thing so that you could jump to something if you wanted to. So it's just kind of tedious to, have to sit there and watch each one and write down all the minutes. But so the first two, that part's been done so far. But that's where that is. I don't think I can share a link, though, in the Hangout. I don't think it lets me do that. But anyway. So that's where that is. It's SharePoint RAX, and then go to playlists, and that's where you can see that. All right, so here's back to my new hire dashboard, and then so he has to go to orientation, and that's actually assigned to the new hire himself. And then they go to orientation, and then they say that they completed that. And then I'll go ahead and refresh this again. And I can see that the whole thing is completed, and the workflow says completed, and the hire status says completed. So that would be he has been completely onboarded now. What I want to point out, the first bug that I've come across in here is the due date. So we have that going specifically down to the time. So we want that to be, like if a task is due in a day, we want it to be a day from right then when that last task got completed, or right when the new hire got entered in the system. We want that task to be due in I think I had it either one day, no, it's 2 days. So we want it to be due in 2 days, but we want it to be due 2 days from when they started. So I don't have the date and time showing in here. So let's go look at how I can make that show them exactly what time that task would be due. All right, so I'm going to go to the task list and go to settings. And then I go to my due date here. So it says date and time, click on it. And then it just says date and time format date only. So I'm going to switch that to date and time and click OK. Now let's go back to my home page and go to my, see, this is only showing me my in progress new hires. So I need to go find that one that I was just looking at. Go to the dashboard. Or I could go to any of these. What I wanted to see here was see the due date. It says 12 a.m. for all these. So I would want to be able to see different times in here, because if someone completes approved new hire, I want the next task to be assigned 2 days from then. So I don't want them everything to just be due at midnight. That's a little, it's just a little awkward. So let's go, now that I've changed it to date and time, let's see if that actually, when I run a workflow, if that will actually change what the way this looks in here. And that's going to be based on what field I used when I assign the task as well. So let's go see what field I used. And I do have something that I'm getting at here as to what I'm going to use to fix this, but I want to kind of point this out. Okay, so current item modified. So it's 2 days added to the last time this current item was modified. And I talked about this when I was creating this, that I like to use modified as opposed to using like today in here, so that it will be down to the specific time. So now that I've changed the actual format of the due date field itself, let's see if that does that a little bit more accurately. So I'm going to go back to my home page and just do a new hire. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but I'll do a couple of different ones. So Rogers, Charlotte, and she's going to be in accounting, and blah, 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 blah. Need to have a hiring manager. I'll just make that me. Employee type. Okay. All right, so now she's going to be in progress. And let's go look at her little dashboard. Okay, look at that. Okay, see, it's a little bit more accurate, right? So now that changed the field to date and time. It's actually doing modified plus 2 days. So that would be due in 2 days at 11:17 a.m. All right, so now it's 11:18 a.m. and what I want to show you something though. So I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and prove this and refresh it and see what it's doing wrong still. Okay, so it actually is, it's changing them to 11:18. So I wanted to make sure that it was going to keep, incrementing up. So since it became 11:18, and when I completed these other ones, then the due date is saying 2 days from that point. I just wanted to make sure that it's not going to say the modified date is not going to be staying exactly the same through the whole process. So since when they approve something, it's actually writing back to that list and it's editing a field in that new hire, the workflow is, then it's considered modified, so therefore the modified date is new. So let me show you where I did that real quick. So once the manager approves it, it goes to those 3 parallel tasks area of the workflow, and see it adds the information, it adds it to modified again. So I'm doing this again and again in each section to get that variable, instead of just setting the variable one time at the very beginning of the workflow. Therefore, each time a new task, this new thing gets calculated again before it creates the next task. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go just do one of these and just double check that it's working that way. Oops, see, I can't leave this blank. I got to have the new hire account typed in here. Charlotte Rogers, and complete. Okay, so now, the thing about those 3 parallel tasks is the next thing's not going to get assigned until all 3 of them are done. So that's where I'll go quickly fill this out too. Again, I just want to make sure this works. And one more, send the welcome packet. Did I mark that one as complete? Could have sworn I did. Let me refresh that. Maybe I didn't. Okay. Okay, yeah, there it goes. All right, I think I just typed the number in and then hit save. All right, so in welcome packet, yes, I went ahead and I'm going to go ahead and complete that now. So now it's 11:20 my time. So the next task should now be created, and it should be add 2 days, and it should be in 11:20. Yes, 11:21. So yeah, so that's correct. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you how to fix there, would be to have the due date to make sure that it actually shows them what time the task is due, as opposed to having just midnight for everything. All right, so now well, let's go look at, we're just going to take a step back now that we've kind of run through that a couple of times. Let's take a step back and think a little bit more about maybe some other things they might want to see here. You guys shout it out if you think of anything, but the first thing that I think of off the top of my head is a link to, say, My Tasks. Or you can do both. You could have My Tasks showing over on the right immediately so that the currently logged in user is automatically going to see tasks that are assigned to them over here in this pane on the right. Because we don't necessarily, the site automatically, the template had this thing documents on the home page, but we don't necessarily have any documents or need to see any documents on the onboarding home page. So, and this is actually something that I do every time I create a team site, is I just delete the out-of-the-box document library. Does anybody else do this? When I give people their new site, I want them to know that they can create separate libraries for separate purposes, different types of things or topics or whatever it happens to be. And they tend to, if you've got one big giant document library, people tend to just dump everything in it. So I went ahead and just deleted the whole library. Okay, so I'm going to add a little web part that's got My Tasks over here. So I'm going to go to edit the page. And just go ahead and insert web part. You could do app part or web part, either way, but put workflow tasks. And then I'm going to want to see things that are assigned to me and things that I haven't completed yet. I think there's actually usually an out-of-the-box view with a task list that's going to have My Tasks. So I'll just go ahead and flip over to that, and then I can just tweak it from there. I don't want them to have the full toolbar because that gives them the new task button and everything. And in this solution, this particular solution, they don't need to be creating tasks for themselves. The tasks will appear automatically via workflow. So I'm going to lock that down by not presenting that to them. It doesn't need to be there. It might be just an extra confusing thing that they would see. So now I'll go ahead and edit this, and I want the logged in user to see not only their tasks, but tasks that are active, that they need to take action on. So I'll go edit the current view and then add another filter to it. I'm sure it already has a filter to show, yeah, assigned to is equal to me, and completed is not equal to, no, not completed. Well, I think it would be status. Task status or status. Yeah, task status is not equal to completed. Okay, and then I could, change what columns I see and stuff like that. I don't necessarily need to see assigned to if it's just they're all going to be assigned to me, so I can do extra things like that. Task name. I might not want to have the whole drop-down box with the task name. I might just want them to be able to see the task name and then have the little edit button next to it, because they have to go straight to the edit view anyway, so why make them click on the name of it and then click edit? That's just again, we're trying to make this simple for them, right? So we just have to think through all these things. The drop-down menu might just be something that's too extra, too confusing, too many options for them. So we're going to take that away and give them an edit button. So edit right here. And I'm going to put that as the second column. And then instead of task name with a drop-down, it's just going to be task name with nothing. It's not going to be linked to the item. It's not going to be linked to a drop-down. It's just the name of the task. All right. And I'll click OK. And then I will probably not, see, I don't have any in here since I don't have any assigned to me right now. I'm going to go do one more thing, and I'm going to call it My Active Tasks, because I like to make the web part be descriptive as to what the heck is in there.
Laura, what would you do if there was multiple task lists?
If there were multiple task lists, you could use the content search web part to roll up tasks, and you could also just put two different, just two, you could just put them both here. Have you ever seen, what kind of scenario would you have multiple task lists? Not for like a business solution like this, right?
Well, you may, just depending on like if you had like a few workflows that were running this solution, and they were going to two different task lists, yeah.
Here, there's a web part. There's an out-of-the-box web part. I'm not sure why it's in this category, but there's, in the social collaboration category, there's a one called user tasks, and that automatically rolls up all the tasks that are assigned to the currently logged in user from all the task lists in this one site. So, and also in 2013, we're going to have the new way that we can go to our, what's not called the My Site anymore, the About Me page, and automatically see all of our tasks rolled up there as well, which is pretty awesome. So that's where you could go to your About Me. This is assuming you have Enterprise, and then click Tasks on the left side. And I haven't run the index or anything lately, so today, so it's not going to be extremely up to date, but this is where I have important and upcoming, active, and I actually wrote a whole blog post about this whole task thing in 2013. Okay, back to the onboarding demo. So that adds a little bit to our solution there by showing the logged in user their tasks that are assigned to them. I wrote another blog post on how to go into a task list and go into the code, like the camel query in the code in your view, and make it so that it will assign, that will show stuff that's not only just assigned to you as an individual, but assigned to any group that you might be in. So that you'd have to use SharePoint Designer, and you'd have to be, you have to be editing code. But that blog post is out there. It's something like there's something in the name of the blog post like tasks assigned to groups I'm in, or something like that. Again, it doesn't let us share links in the little interface here in the Google Hangout, but that's where that would be. All right, so what are some other things? What are some other buttons maybe that they might need to be able to get to from here? Just shout it out if you can think of anything. I think the newsfeed, it can't hurt to have that here. I guess you could have a conversation going on about this site, but you might want to get rid of that as well, just because it's just kind of adding extra something that might be confusing to end users that they don't necessarily need to know about or need to use. So just something to think about. Also, our navigation. We don't want to necessarily see all this recent dashboards, workflow tasks, and new hire links and things like that. So since this is more of a custom business solution, to where it's not going to be changing in a lot. It's not going to have a lot of flux and people adding lists and people interacting, collaborating, working on documents and things. It's really just a strict kind of custom business solution. So I could just just delete this whole recent area here, and then next time I add a list, it would pop back in there. But again, this is pretty hard set, just site that I don't expect that to happen a lot on. I like the way in 2013 you can just quickly get rid of all site content too. It's pretty nice. So there's how I can get straight to the new hire list, and I can, any other basic stuff they might need to do, I could add it here or as a link here, but I like keeping it super simple. Another thing that we can do if we don't need the quick launch at all is a new thing in 2013, to where when you go to change the look, so it's kind of a navigation change, but it's under change the look in here. So you could change from Seattle to Oslo, and if I did that, then it would get rid of the quick, it takes whatever's in the quick launch and it actually moves it to be the top toolbar up here, and it gets rid of whatever would have been in the top toolbar is gone. So that's what changing it to Oslo does. Do you guys see people using that a lot, like just to kind of save real estate and stuff like that?
Not really, because they don't like
from time
the
to
quick launch
time.
at the top.
But Ryan, you're the branding guy. Do you see that?
Yeah.
From time to time, a lot of times it's by accident, and then they wonder why their links aren't the same throughout the site.
Yeah.
It's a little strange that the quick launch becomes your top nav, but
That is confusing.
otherwise it's kind of nice that you have a master page without the left nav.
Yeah, it kind of is. Another thing I saw somebody do the other day was that they went into the navigation settings and they set it to inherit the navigation from the parent for the current navigation and the top nav and the left nav, and they couldn't figure out why they didn't have the edit links buttons then after that, but it was because they had set it to inherit from the parent. So once you do that, you're on a subsite, you can't edit edit links goes away. So that was just another sort of little nuance gotcha that I came across. All right, so now it's kind of narrowed down. I have quickly my new hire links, but let's go look at the dashboard and let's go see kind of what we might be able to iron out on there. So now my little button I clicked on the home page takes me to the ones in progress, but of course I have my all contacts list view as well. I could change that to say all hires or something like that. So let's go to the dashboard. So let's go to click dashboard like that and fine tune this a little bit. So I'll go hit edit page here. It's weird having all this white space now. All right, so I have, when I'm in my web part page here, I can go to title bar properties in the ribbon, and I can change what it says new hire. I named this page new hire when I created the web part page, just mashed together, just so that the name of the page wouldn't have spaces in it. But I can just edit that, and I can say this is the dashboard for blah blah blah. A specific image link. So if I want a cute little icon to show up at the top left of the dashboard, I could do that. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back to my top level site, just in another window here, and I'm going to go to my site collection images, and the dashboard, the icon that I used for the dashboard in the solution was this little sort of star thing. That's kind of small. I don't think I want that. I have the 32 by 32. We can just go see what that looks. I like the person though. Let's just use person. So I'll grab that hyperlink, just say copy shortcut, and then use that, and then we'll see what our page looks like. And I can even make that a relative link if I wanted to. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So now whenever I'm on my dashboard, I can see a special image showing that I'm looking at a new hire. So I have the career string URL filter sending information to both the new hire list and the task list down here. So I can kind of fine tune what columns I want to see here. Just kind of really just a matter of working with the business and determining what they really need to see there. You're only looking at a single new hire at that point, so it's not you're not going to have a bunch of rows. You're just going to have only one row. I can take out the full toolbar, make it no toolbar, and that way I'll get rid of that little new item button there. Now I might want them to have a new item button. I want them to be on a dashboard and maybe quickly be able to fill out another new hire form. So that might be something that they actually want. And then I can go edit the current view and just kind of determine what I can see here, what I want to see here. So I don't need to see the stuff about the workflow necessarily. Maybe I don't want people to be clicking on the workflow status screen and to see any of that funky stuff I have going on behind the scenes. They just need to be interacting with, seeing what these columns look like. And then, so I've got last name, first name, email address, department, status, employee type might be important. So, and make sure, so the last name, I can click on that to open that employee if I want to. So it links to the item with the edit menu. I could, instead of having it linked to the item with the, again, that full drop-down menu, maybe I just want to be able, them to be able to click on the link to just open that new hire and look at it, right? Instead of going straight into the edit screen from there. All right, so again, just little tweaks. It doesn't really matter how I'm sorting it or anything because, again, it's just going to be one thing. All right, so and then in my view settings, I could get rid of the tabular view, which would get rid of this little checkbox. But then if I did that, then people wouldn't be able to click this row and be able to do anything in the ribbon with that item. All right, workflow tasks. I'll go edit that web part as well. And then after I edit these web parts, we're going to go talk about permissions because that's going to be really important. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out this little lookup column that points back to the original new hire. It's just extra information they don't necessarily need to see. And edit testing due date assigned to, I've already got it grouped by status, so I don't necessarily need to see that. Priority might be good to see because remember in the workflow I created a condition that says if the employee type is equal to executive, it makes the priority high. So we can add the priority as a column there when we're looking at the status. All right, and then I want to get rid of this little add new item thing, so I'll just do that one more thing, and I'll go into the web part properties and change it to no toolbar. Another thing I like to do just to, sometimes make it look prettier is to make these web parts have this chrome with the title and border around them. I'll go apply that to that web part, and I'll do the same thing to this one as well. Because the web part, the page looks so just blank and boring. Just adding a little definition to it. Okay. Again, you guys shout it out if there are other common things that you do when you create solutions like this. So I'll go back home, and now when I go to one in progress, I'll go to the dashboard, and now it looks, see, it's got like little pretty boxes around it. It's got this white space though. I think the white space is because I have that query string URL filter, which is really dumb because it's not really supposed to take up space on the page. Let me see if I can do anything about that. Maybe if I take this and move it. So I can just drag it maybe over here. That's the thing I like about web part pages as opposed to wiki pages. It's really hard to drag stuff around. Maybe I can put in the very bottom one. It's kind of hard to do that. There we go. Maybe that'll help. It's just kind of dumb that there's all this white space in here. Okay, so I'll go back to home and click on a specific person's dashboard again. Just double check that. Yeah, I think it got rid of some of the white space, but still there's still some there, but there's not much you can control about that, right? Right, Ryan? All
yeah,
right.
not out of the box really, but once you kind of dig in there, add
Master
some
page
CSS
stuff.
and do a little bit of branding, you can take out some of that white space.
You didn't have to do that.
I agree. There's a lot of extra white space in 2013.
Yeah. Other extra things I could do in here would be that I could go in here and change what in the appearance section of these web parts, I could change what it says here. Like this could just say new hire information because it's really not a list. It's just one person showing on this web part. And I can make it say like tasks for this new hire or something. So I can change that in the web part settings as well. All right, let's go think about permissions here. So when we're going through this site, I want any manager in the company should be able to fill out a new hire form, and then they should be able to go look at what's in progress, and then the people that are completing the tasks, they should be able to complete tasks, right? So, you guys help me think this through. So, just in general, not everybody in the company should be able to go to this site. It should be just managers, probably, right? But any manager should be able to go do this. And then probably you wouldn't want any manager seeing all of the new hires in progress, right? You would just want them seeing their new hires in progress. But you would want HR to see all the new hires in progress. So this is something to where you could, if you wanted to go kind of over the top and worry about permissions granularly, you could start trying to do individual item permissions. But unfortunately, in 2013 workflows, which is what I used here, you don't have impersonation steps anymore. You don't have there's a new thing called an app step now, but it doesn't have anything that you can do with actually setting permissions via workflow like you could inside of an impersonation step in 2010. So we're not going to, in this scenario, we're not going to start talking about individual item permissions. We're just going to talk about the concept of security by obscurity, by just not showing things to people that things that aren't relevant to them, and just making it so it's not something that they can easily go find a list of. So by default, I would want managers in the company to only see new hires where they're the hiring manager, right? So what I can do in my new hire list is I can create a new view in here. And I'm just going to start from all contacts and say my new hires, or my hires, that. And then the important part is going to be that the hiring manager is equal to me. All right, and then I can just kind of decide like maybe what columns they want to see here. They might be able to want them to click on the workflow maybe if they want, see the employee type and stuff like that. Last name, first name, phone, email address, blah blah blah. Okay, and then they're going to sort it by. I'm going to sort it by the last modified first, and then by the last name. Okay, so now it can even show them a total if we want to. So it can just show a total of how many new hires that person has, and then we could even do something to where we could group it by the new hire status. So hire status, we can do grouping. Group it by hire status, and then expanded by default. All right, so now, of course, completed ones show first. Then I can see that I have one in HR approval, and I have one that went to orientation. And if I really wanted to be OCD about it, I could, in the names of the statuses, I could put like a little number in the front of each one so that when I'm looking at them sorted by status, I would actually see the statuses in order, right? So that would be the My Hires view now. And so what I would want is I would want to have My Hires as, I'm going to put that as the default view. So I'm going to go back in here and modify this view and make it the default. So for my, let's start talking again about permissions. So I'm going to go to my top level of this site, go to Site Permissions. I'm going to stop inheriting permissions. And then I'm going to, create new groups. Or I'll just use an existing one. I'll just say more. And this is going to be visitors. RTM is the name of my whole web app, my whole environment. So I'm just going to say use RTM visitors. And then I'm going to say create a new group for members and create a new group for owners. Okay. And then, of course, once I do that, I can tweak the heck out of it. So I'll go back to Site Settings, look at Permissions again. I hate the way it bounces you back out of there. Isn't that annoying? Did you guys see this the other day? Somebody tweeted this. I tweeted it out like I retweeted them. Somebody wrote a blog post pointing out the fact, speaking of permissions, about this new edit permission level that by default it gives the members. Have y'all seen this? This is kind of crazy. It's really good for you to know what this does. So what is the edit permission level? It makes it seem like it's just like contribute, right? That's what it sounds like. Oh, Paul says you can use REST API from Workflow to manage permissions in 2013. That's good to know, Paul. Is that writing custom code? probably. All right, so let's go look. I just want to point this out because it's really, really important for everybody to know what that is. So I'm going to go click on permission levels and just look at it. Is anything, you see something that jumps out at you here? Anyone? Joelle, Ryan? It's kind of a red flag.
Manage lists.
Yeah. Joelle probably already knew this, of course. Yeah. Anyone that you give this edit permission level, they can add, edit, and delete entire lists and libraries in your site. And by default, if you just go with all of Microsoft's defaults, it gives that to your members group, which previously just had contribute. Oh, thanks, Fabian, for the link. Awesome. So that's going to be setting Gradle permissions on the XML and the app step you talked about there. Fabian's a developer. But that is code stuff, though, right? Just to clarify. I don't write code. So anyway, I just want to point that out. The new permission level that they created. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Permissions, onboarding. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of a lot of extraneous stuff here. So I'm gonna take away everything except for onboarding demo members, owners, and I'm going to take away visitors as well. So I allowed it to let me select an existing visitors group when it gave me the little, cute little wizard asking me what to do with permissions once I stopped inheriting them. But even though I selected an existing group, I don't have to actually use it because in this case, I don't want everybody from the company coming to this site. I just want a set group of people. So I'm going to remove a whole bunch of stuff from here. All right, so now what I really want is the managers in this company. So I'm just going to quickly just go rename this. And I don't already have a group in here, I don't think, called Contoso Managers. So I'm just going to call this one that. Contoso Managers. Directory group in here or whatever of all the managers in the company. So everyone can be the membership, sure, whatever. Okay. Okay, so managers are now going to be in here. I'll add just a couple of other people just for fun. Ryan and Joelle. Oh, Joelle, I still haven't put you in my Active Directory in my little fake environment in here. I'll put. I've got Ryan's wife in here. So I'll put those in there.
She almost joined the Google Hangout today.
Yeah, he logged into Google Hangout as his wife. Oh, we've only got like 12 minutes left. So, all right, let me get into this. Okay, so here's our new hire list of the actual list of new hires is going to be. Oh, hold on, let me step back a second. Before I start going into all my individual lists and doing permissions, what I might want to do is just lock it down to like almost nothing at the very top level of the site and then go into individual lists that I do want people to edit. Is that something that you guys tend to do as well? Oh, thanks guys for the links, for the link in there. Appreciate that.
And Fabian says no.
No, it's not custom code. Awesome. So Fabian shared a link there in the chat window. I appreciate that. See you at SPTechCon, Fabian, hopefully. Okay. So what I'm going to do is instead of going to all the different lists and determining what their permissions are, I'm actually going to go back up to the top level and lock this down even further. So I'm going to say I want managers, I want them to be able to all go to this site, but I only want to give them read for the site just in general. So I have a lot of lists and stuff in there that I don't necessarily need them to be editing. And then, of course, owners, full control. I'm also going to have people that are completing tasks. Those are going to need to be, they're going to need to have access to the site as well. So what I can do is grant permissions to those people. So I have a couple called IT, what did I call it? I hate the way it doesn't give me like any kind of drop-down box. I have to figure out what I call those groups. IT create account, new phone group, and HR welcome packet. Got it? All right. IT create account, new phone group, and HR welcome packet. Probably just in general, all of HR would also need to have access to this. Human resources, group, whatever. I'll just pretend that this is just people in human resources, okay? And I'm giving all these people the ability to read, but look what it wants to do to me by default. It wants to put all these people in Contoso managers. Now I don't really want to do that. These are all SharePoint groups, so it's not going to be putting them inside of another SharePoint group anyway. Okay, all these people are going to have read at the site level. So then that's where I would go down into the individual lists and start deciding what I want them to be able to do. Okay, so let's go to my site contents. I have my new hire list. I do want them to be able to add, edit, and delete. Okay, permissions. Stop inheriting permissions. So I want the managers to be able to do contribute on this. And new phone group. Human resources, maybe they just need to be looking at it. I'm not sure. That would depend on the requirements, of course. All right, so then I'll say, now this is where it gets tricky with the whole app step thing, because you would want people to be able to complete the tasks. And remember, in the tasks, they're filling out the ability to, they're filling out the phone number, and they're filling out like the new hire account, and when they do that in their task, it's actually writing back to that new hire list. So I'd have to be able to use an app step in my workflow so that it impersonates the creator of the workflow when it runs that, so that that would be able to happen in the workflow, right? Carlos says, edit is needed for co-authoring. Does disabling manage list and permission level disable co-authoring? For live co-authoring, you need to be able to edit the document. But this edit permission level is called edit, so it lets them add, edit, and delete content like documents and list items, but it also lets them edit the entire lists and libraries and delete entire lists and libraries. To answer your question, you don't need to have the ability to delete a whole library to be able to edit a document. Does that make sense? Or you shouldn't. You shouldn't be needing to give people that. They should just be able to edit the content to be able to do live co-authoring. All right. All right, so that for the app step thing, that's the new in 2013, that's a site feature, or is that a site collection feature? Where is that? Anybody know off the top of their head? I guess it would be
site.
This is a site feature. I don't see app step in there. Maybe I'm missing.
Oh, maybe it is site collection.
Site collection features. Maybe it's not in the A's. It's called something else, and I'm just missing it. Come on, you guys, shout it out in the chat window. Where's app step? Is that something that you have to enable, like at the web app level or the farm level or something, before I'm going to see app step? I know I've seen it in here before.
Yeah, that's usually where you have to.
Anyone? Maybe I'm missing it. Okay, I've never actually used an app step, apparently, at least not on this site. Maybe I'll just skip that. So for the workflow, you would.
Oh, what? It looks like it's called workflows can use app permissions. I always thought it was just app step.
It's a site feature, yeah.
It is. I thought it was a site feature, but it's called.
Oh, yeah,
it used to be called app step.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a note of that for the training class that I teach, because I think in my screenshot it says app step as well. So need to adjust
the
that.
button in SharePoint Designer is called app step.
What?
the button in SharePoint Designer is called App Step.
Yeah, of course.
The feature, is called Workflows can use app permissions.
Okay,
But I'm almost positive it was App Step before. Maybe before SP1 or something, I don't know.
So the workflow that I would need that in would be in my task completed workflow, because when they're completing a task, this workflow is running. So we need them, of course, the ability to add, and not necessarily add tasks, but just edit them. And then when they mark it as completed, it needs to go right back over to the new hire list. So this is where the app step would need to be. See, it's grayed out still. Maybe I'll probably just need to close SharePoint. SharePoint Designer was already opened when I enabled that feature. So let's see if closing it and opening it back up does the trick. I've only got 4 minutes though. I might have to have like part 7 of this silly thing at some point. Task completed. The main thing that I wanted to get across was that, no, yeah, it's not lit up yet, so I must be missing something. I wanted to get across the fact that, after the 5th hour, the 5th iteration, on my session on this onboarding process, it wasn't done. So I really wanted to point out all the different things that need to be polished up in order for the whole thing to really be considered done. So let me go back. Am I on the wrong site? I think I was on the wrong site when I did that. Let me go back to onboarding. I might have been. Site settings, site features. Yeah, I think I was just clicking around so much I ended up going and doing that at the top level site. So that's what it was. All right, so now it's enabled. Let's see if just hitting refresh over here in the in SharePoint Designer will make it light up. No. Okay, let me try that one more time. You guys ask questions again if you have any. And let's see, magic happens, right? Yep, it lit up. Okay, so this is where I would want to place an app step. Apparently I have to place it inside of a stage. And then I would need to take all of this stuff and move it into the app step, because these are the actions where I'm actually updating information in that other list. So I need to go take each of these if statements and move them inside of my app step. I have to be sure and click the whole if statement like on the outside here. It really matters where you click in SharePoint Designer. And one more. Okay, so now they're all in the app step. So this workflow, yeah, I got it. All right, so the workflow would run, and then so I would need to give these people permissions to edit tasks. I don't necessarily need them adding tasks, so what I could do is I could create a custom permission level called edits only, and I could then go to the task list and say managers and all those people in those SharePoint groups have edit this custom permission level on the task list. I can even say like that custom permission level doesn't have the ability to create views if I wanted to lock it down even further. So I'll go ahead and say I'm wrapping it up this time, and potentially maybe have a part 7. But any last questions about that? We do have a job opening I wanted to share with you guys. It's a SharePoint engineer, like a planning and design guru, work from home on my team. And let me see if it'll let me share that in the chat. Will it let me? I don't think, since I'm the moderator, will let me put it in there as a question. So it won't let me actually share it with you guys. I might put it, I'll just put it on Twitter or something like that. But yeah, we're hiring a planning and design guru for like writing out full documentation for projects and things like that. Documentation on planning out like server, site architecture, entire governance plans and stuff like that. So
get to work with me.
Yay, me. Okay. I'll tweet that out, the link again. I also tweeted it out, a couple of other times in the past few days as well. So thanks all 18 of you for coming, and let me go ahead and flip my screen sharing back off. Thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next week. And we'll between now and then we'll figure out what our next topic is going to be. But you can always go to youtube.com/SharePointRax, and you can click videos, and then you can even narrow that down with a little drop-down box to choose events, and that will show you upcoming power hours and what the topics are. It's like pre-created links of what the YouTube videos are going to be. So. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.